Many people over the age of 60 focus on what they eat, how much they exercise, and what medications they take to manage blood pressure. These factors are important, but there is another influence that often goes unnoticed. It happens quietly, every single day, before breakfast, before medication, and before most people even begin their routines. That influence is the first hour of the morning. For many older adults, blood pressure appears well controlled when measured later in the day. Numbers look acceptable. Doctors are reassured. Yet problems still develop over time. This creates confusion and frustration. People wonder why issues arise despite doing everything right. The answer is often hidden in the morning. After 60, the body becomes more sensitive to transitions. The shift from sleep to wakefulness is one of the most demanding transitions the cardiovascular system experiences each day. Hormones rise, the nervous system activates, and blood vessels tighten to increase blood flow to the brain. In a younger body, this process is smooth. In an older body, it can be abrupt and stressful. Mornings matter because they concentrate multiple stressors into a short period of time. Blood pressure rises naturally after waking. The heart rate increases. Blood vessels respond to gravity when standing. The brain demands more oxygen. All of this happens before the body has fully stabilized. When certain habits are layered onto this vulnerable window, blood pressure can rise sharply without being noticed. These rises are often temporary. They may last minutes or an hour, then settle down. Later readings look normal. Because the spikes are brief and hidden, they rarely trigger concern. But repeated morning surges place strain on blood vessels that are already less flexible due to aging. Over time, this strain accumulates. This video is not about dramatic mistakes or dangerous behavior. It is about ordinary morning habits that feel harmless. Habits that many people consider healthy or necessary. Habits that are rarely discussed in relation to blood pressure. These habits quietly raise pressure at the most vulnerable time of day. Understanding morning habits is empowering. Unlike genetics or age, habits are modifiable. Small adjustments in the first hour of the day can significantly reduce stress on the heart and blood vessels, even if blood pressure numbers later in the day remain unchanged. The goal is not to create anxiety around mornings. The goal is awareness. Awareness allows calmer mornings. Calmer mornings allow smoother blood pressure transitions. Over time, smoother transitions protect the cardiovascular system. In this video, we will discuss several common morning habits that quietly raise blood pressure after 60. We will explain why they have this effect and how small changes can make mornings safer without giving up comfort or routine. We will begin with one of the most common habits of all, something nearly everyone does, often without thinking, and often as quickly as possible. The morning begins quietly. You wake up before the alarm, or just as it sounds. The room is still dim, and for a moment, you stay lying there, aware of your breathing and the weight of the blankets. Your body feels stiff, not painful, just slower than it once was. This feeling is familiar. It has become part of waking up. After a short pause, you decide to get up. You sit up in bed. The movement feels normal. You have done this thousands of times before. You swing your legs over the edge of the bed and place your feet on the floor. Everything feels steady enough. So you stand. As you stand, there is a brief moment when the room feels slightly off. Not spinning. Not truly dizzy. Just a subtle sensation that things are not fully settled yet. You pause for a second. Then it passes. You tell yourself it is nothing. You begin walking toward the bathroom. Most mornings follow this exact pattern. Wake up, sit up, stand up, move on. On some mornings, the sensation is stronger. You may need to hold onto the bed or the wall for a moment. On other mornings, you barely notice it at all. Either way, the habit does not change. You continue with your routine because the feeling always passes. You brush your teeth. You wash your face. By the time you reach the kitchen, the moment has already been forgotten. The day has started, and there is no sign that anything unusual happened. This is why the habit feels harmless. Nothing dramatic occurs. There is no pain. No lasting discomfort. No interruption to the day. The body seems to recover quickly, so there is no reason to question the habit. But the habit does not happen once. It happens nearly every morning. Each day, the same pattern repeats. The same quick transition from lying to standing. The same brief pause. The same decision to move on without thinking about it. Over time, this routine becomes invisible. Many people over 60 say, "I've always done it this way." And that is true. The habit itself is old. What has changed is the body performing it. This habit is quiet. It does not announce itself. It does not demand attention. That is exactly why it deserves to be examined more closely. In the next part, we will slow this moment down and look at what is happening inside the body during these first seconds of the day, and why this familiar routine affects blood pressure after 60. When you are lying in bed, your cardiovascular system is in a low-demand state. Blood is distributed evenly. The heart does not have to work against gravity. Blood pressure is calm and relatively stable. This is the body at rest. The moment you sit up, gravity begins to pull blood downward toward the legs. The body must react quickly to maintain blood flow to the brain. Blood vessels tighten. Heart rate increases slightly. Blood pressure adjusts upward to compensate. In a younger body, this adjustment is smooth and well controlled. Blood vessels are flexible. Signals between the brain, heart, and blood vessels are precise. The transition happens quietly and efficiently. After 60, this system changes. Blood vessels become stiffer and slower to respond. The nervous system may react too strongly or too slowly. The heart has less reserve to absorb sudden shifts. As a result, blood pressure often drops briefly when you stand, then rebounds sharply as the body overcorrects. You may feel the brief drop as lightheadedness. You do not feel the rebound. That rebound happens internally. This pattern repeats every morning. The first time, the body recovers. The second time, it recovers again. But repeated daily, these pressure swings place stress on blood vessel walls. The inner lining of the arteries experiences sudden mechanical force. Over time, this contributes to stiffness and reduced flexibility. The heart also works harder than necessary during the most vulnerable part of the day. Now consider the same morning again. You wake up, you sit up quickly, you stand. The same internal sequence unfolds. Blood shifts. Pressure drops. Pressure rebounds. You feel fine moments later, but the cardiovascular system has already been stressed. This is also why falls are more common in the morning. The brief drop in blood pressure affects balance, while the rebound stresses the heart. Both occur together, even when the person feels okay. The solution is not medical. It is mechanical and behavioral. Slowing the transition allows blood vessels and the heart time to adjust. Sitting on the edge of the bed, moving the legs, standing slowly. When the transition is slower, the drop is smaller. The rebound is gentler. Blood pressure stabilizes more smoothly. This reduces strain without requiring medication or effort. This small change protects the cardiovascular system quietly. Morning after morning. The morning continues after you leave the bedroom. The house is still quiet. The light outside is soft, not fully bright yet. You walk into the kitchen without thinking much about it. Your body is awake, but not fully alert. Your mind feels slightly heavy, as if it needs something to get started. Almost automatically, you reach for the coffee maker. This movement feels familiar. It feels comforting. You have done it this way for years. Turning on the machine feels like the first real step into the day. While the coffee brews, you stand there waiting, maybe leaning against the counter, maybe checking your phone, maybe just staring out the window. When you take the first sip, there is a sense of relief. The warmth spreads. The taste feels grounding. You feel more awake almost immediately. Nothing feels wrong. In fact, it feels right. This is how mornings are supposed to begin. A few minutes later, you sit down with the cup. You read the news. You scroll through messages. Your thoughts begin to speed up. You may not notice it clearly, but there is a subtle sense of alertness mixed with tension. Not anxiety, just a feeling that the body has shifted into a higher gear. Now imagine another morning, very similar to the first one. You wake up the same way. You walk into the kitchen the same way. The coffee machine turns on. The smell fills the room. You drink the first cup again. This time, however, you notice something small. Your heart feels like it is beating a little faster. Your hands feel slightly warmer. Your breathing feels just a bit quicker than it did a few minutes ago. You do not feel unwell. You simply feel stimulated. You finish the coffee, and the day continues. By late morning or early afternoon, everything feels normal again. If you were to check your blood pressure then, the numbers might look perfectly fine. Nothing about the day would suggest that anything unusual happened. This is why the habit feels harmless. It blends into the routine. It does not interrupt the day. It does not cause obvious symptoms. Morning after morning, the same pattern repeats, quietly and without attention. Because the habit feels normal, it is rarely questioned. Coffee becomes part of the morning identity. It feels earned. It feels deserved. It feels like something that helps rather than harms. In the next part, we will slow this moment down and look at what is happening inside the body when coffee is consumed too early, and why timing matters more after 60. When you wake up, your body is already changing before you do anything at all. Stress hormones, especially cortisol, begin to rise naturally. These hormones help you become alert. They increase heart rate slightly and tighten blood vessels to send more blood to the brain. This is the body's built-in wake-up system. In a younger body, this hormonal surge is brief and balanced. Blood vessels respond smoothly. The nervous system stabilizes quickly. Blood pressure rises gently and then settles. After 60, this same process becomes more intense. Blood vessels are stiffer and slower to relax. The nervous system is more reactive. Blood pressure rises more sharply and stays elevated longer during the first part of the morning. Now, return to that moment in the kitchen. You take the first sip of coffee while cortisol levels are already high. Caffeine sends another signal to the nervous system. It tells the heart to beat faster. It tells blood vessels to tighten a bit more. The body receives two speed-up signals at the same time. Inside, blood pressure rises faster than it would have on its own. You may not feel this directly. There is no pain, no alarm, but the cardiovascular system experiences a sharper pressure surge than it is designed to handle comfortably at this age. Picture the next morning again. The same routine, the same timing, the same early coffee, the same internal sequence unfolds. Hormones rise. Caffeine adds stimulation. Blood pressure spikes, then gradually settles later in the morning. Because the spike is temporary, it is rarely captured by routine measurements. Afternoon or evening readings look normal. This creates a false sense of reassurance. The body, however, remembers repeated stress even when measurements do not show it. Over months and years, these repeated morning surges contribute to increased stiffness in blood vessels. The heart works harder than necessary at the most vulnerable time of day. For people sensitive to caffeine, taking blood pressure medication, or already dealing with hypertension, the effect is even stronger. The solution is not to remove coffee completely. For many people, coffee later in the morning or midday is well tolerated. The key is timing. Delaying coffee by 60 to 90 minutes allows cortisol levels to rise and begin to fall naturally. Blood pressure stabilizes. The nervous system calms. When caffeine is introduced later, the pressure increase is smaller and smoother. Many people who make this change notice that mornings feel calmer, energy feels steadier, jitters decrease. The day begins without the subtle tension that once felt normal. This is not a dramatic lifestyle change. It is a quiet adjustment. But repeated daily, it protects blood vessels and reduces unnecessary strain on the heart. In the next habit, we will look at something that seems even more harmless than coffee, yet plays a powerful role in morning blood pressure stability: skipping hydration. The morning moves on quietly. After getting out of bed and starting your routine, you begin doing the small things that feel necessary. You brush your teeth, you wash your face, you take medications, you prepare breakfast or move around the house getting ready for the day. What you do not do is drink water. It is not intentional. You are not avoiding water. It simply does not feel urgent. You do not feel thirsty. Your mouth does not feel dry. Water feels like something you can have later, after coffee, after breakfast, or after you have been awake for a while. So the morning continues without it. You move through the house. You may sit down with coffee or tea. You may check your phone or watch the news. Your body feels awake enough. Nothing feels obviously wrong. If anything, you feel slightly sluggish, but that feels normal for the morning. Now imagine another morning, almost identical to the first. You wake up. You get out of bed. You start your routine. Again, there is no water. Again, there is no strong thirst signal telling you to drink. You may notice something subtle this time. Your head feels a little heavy. Your body feels a bit tight. Not pain, not discomfort, just a sense that things are not fully flowing yet. You ignore it, because it passes once the day gets going. Later in the morning, you feel fine. By midday, everything feels normal. If you were to check your blood pressure then, the numbers might look perfectly acceptable. Nothing about the day suggests that missing water earlier mattered. This is why the habit is easy to overlook. Skipping hydration does not create immediate symptoms. It does not stop the morning. It does not demand attention. The day continues as usual. Because nothing dramatic happens, the habit becomes invisible. Morning after morning, the same pattern repeats. Wake up, move on, drink water later. For many people over 60, this routine feels completely normal. Water is associated with meals, not mornings. Hydration feels optional rather than essential. In the next part, we will slow this moment down and look at what is happening inside the body when hydration is delayed, and why this quiet habit affects blood pressure after 60. During sleep, the body naturally loses fluid. You lose water through breathing. You lose small amounts through the skin. By the time you wake up, most people are mildly dehydrated, even if they do not feel thirsty. In a younger body, this mild dehydration is corrected easily. Blood vessels respond quickly. Circulation adapts smoothly. The cardiovascular system compensates without stress. After 60, the situation changes. Blood volume becomes more sensitive to fluid loss. Blood vessels are less flexible. The heart has less reserve to adjust smoothly. Even mild dehydration can affect circulation. Now return to that quiet morning. You wake up already slightly dehydrated. Blood volume is a little lower than it should be. This makes the blood slightly thicker and more concentrated. When blood is thicker, it moves less easily through blood vessels. To keep blood flowing to the brain, the heart must work harder. Blood vessels tighten to maintain pressure. Blood pressure rises to compensate for reduced volume. This happens quietly, without warning. Picture the next morning again. The same routine unfolds. No water at first. Coffee or tea comes first. Caffeine adds mild stimulation. Dehydration remains uncorrected. The cardiovascular system is working harder than necessary during the first hour of the day. Because hydration is delayed, blood pressure remains less stable. Small movements or stressors create larger pressure shifts. The system becomes more reactive. Later in the day, once water is finally consumed, the body recovers. Blood volume improves. Circulation feels easier. Blood pressure readings may look normal again. The earlier strain is hidden. This is why skipping hydration is such a quiet risk. The effect is temporary. It does not show up in routine measurements. But repeated daily, it adds unnecessary stress to blood vessels and the heart. Hydration in the morning does not require large amounts of water. A single glass is often enough to restore volume and support circulation. Warm or room temperature water is usually easier for the body to accept in the morning. For people taking blood pressure medications or diuretics, morning hydration is especially important. It reduces pressure swings and helps medications work more predictably. Many people who begin hydrating earlier notice small but meaningful changes. Mornings feel smoother, lightheadedness decreases, blood pressure feels more stable. These improvements are not dramatic, but they are consistent. The habit of skipping hydration is not harmful because of what it removes. It is harmful because of when it is removed. Timing matters more after 60. In the next habit, we will look at another common morning routine that feels responsible and health-focused, but can actually create confusion and anxiety when done at the wrong time. Checking blood pressure too early. The morning feels quiet, but your mind is already active. You wake up, sit up in bed, and before the day really begins, a thought appears. I should check my blood pressure. It feels responsible. It feels careful. You want to know where things stand before moving on. So you reach for the monitor. Maybe it's on the nightstand. Maybe it's in the bathroom or the kitchen. You sit down, wrap the cuff around your arm, and press the button. The machine hums softly while you wait. The numbers appear. Sometimes they are higher than you expected. Your heart sinks slightly. You stare at the screen for a moment, trying to decide what it means. You haven't had coffee yet. You haven't even fully woken up. Still, the numbers are there. You tell yourself not to worry. Or maybe you worry anyway. Either way, the reading stays in your mind as you move through the morning. You wonder if today is a bad day or a good day. Now imagine another morning, very similar to the first. You wake up. You move around a bit. This time, you wait until after breakfast. You sit down again and check your blood pressure. The numbers look better. They look normal. You feel relieved. By late morning or early afternoon, if you check again, the numbers may look even better. Calm, acceptable, reassuring. The earlier reading feels like it never mattered. This creates confusion. Which number is real? Which one should you believe? The early reading felt alarming. The later reading feels safe. You don't know which one tells the true story. Over time, this habit repeats. Some mornings you check early. Some mornings you check later. The results change. The interpretation changes. Anxiety comes and goes depending on the timing. Because the readings are inconsistent, you may stop trusting them altogether. Or you may check more often, hoping for reassurance. Neither approach brings clarity. This habit feels responsible on the surface. You are monitoring your health. You are paying attention. But the timing quietly undermines the usefulness of the information. In the next part, we will slow this down and explain why checking blood pressure at the wrong time can hide real risk after 60, even when the numbers look fine later in the day. When you first wake up, your body is still transitioning from sleep to activity. Hormones are shifting. The nervous system is activating. Blood pressure is naturally rising as the body prepares for the day. This process is not finished in the first few minutes after waking. If you measure blood pressure during this unstable period, you are capturing a snapshot of transition, not a true resting state. The number reflects temporary adjustment rather than baseline function. Now return to that first morning. You sit down shortly after waking and take a measurement. Blood pressure may appear higher because the system has not stabilized yet. This does not necessarily mean something is wrong. It means the body is mid-transition. The problem is not the number itself. The problem is how it is interpreted. A high early reading can create anxiety. Anxiety activates the nervous system. Blood pressure rises further. The reading influences the body. Picture the second morning again. You wait longer. You measure after the body has settled. Blood pressure looks normal. This creates relief, but it also hides what happened earlier. After 60, cardiovascular risk often hides in transitions. Morning rises, rapid changes, and variability matter more than single stable readings. Measuring only when the body is calm hides these patterns. This is why timing matters so much. Measuring too early exaggerates risk emotionally. Measuring only later hides risk physiologically. Both lead to misunderstanding. Repeated confusion can change behavior. Some people stop checking altogether. Others check obsessively. Neither provides useful insight. Doctors look for consistency and context. They want to know when readings are taken, not just what they are. They care about patterns across days, not isolated moments. The most useful measurements are taken under similar conditions each day. After sitting calmly, after hydration, after the body has settled. This reveals trends rather than noise. Understanding timing reduces anxiety. When you know that early readings reflect transition, you stop reacting emotionally to them. When you measure consistently, patterns become clear. Checking blood pressure is not harmful. Checking it at the wrong time is misleading. After 60, misleading information is worse than no information at all. In the next habit, we will look at something even more subtle. A habit that feels psychological rather than physical, yet has one of the strongest effects on morning blood pressure. Starting the day rushed or stressed. The morning has already begun, but there is a feeling of pressure in the air. You wake up and immediately think about what needs to be done. Appointments, messages, responsibilities. Even before your feet touch the floor, your mind is already ahead of your body. You sit up and reach for your phone. Notifications appear. News headlines scroll past. There is something urgent, something worrying, something demanding your attention. Your heart rate feels slightly faster. Your breathing becomes shallower. Though you may not notice it clearly, you move through the morning quickly. You rush through getting dressed. You hurry breakfast or skip it entirely. There is no pause, no quiet moment. The day feels like it has started running before you are ready to join it. Nothing dramatic happens. You are not panicking. You are simply tense, slightly rushed, slightly on edge. This feels normal. This is how many mornings feel after 60. Now imagine another morning, very similar to the first. You wake up with the same list of responsibilities waiting, the same messages, the same schedule. But this time, you pause for a moment before reaching for your phone. You sit on the edge of the bed. You take a breath. The room is quiet. You allow a few seconds to pass before standing. The day is still there, but it has not taken control yet. You move through the morning more slowly. You are not late. You are not ignoring responsibilities. You are simply not rushing. The difference feels small, but it is noticeable. On rushed mornings, your body feels tight. Your shoulders feel raised. Your jaw feels clenched. On calmer mornings, your body feels more settled, even though the day ahead is the same. Most people do not label rushed mornings as stressful. They feel ordinary. They feel necessary. They feel unavoidable. But this habit quietly shapes how the body behaves during the most sensitive time of day. Because the habit feels mental rather than physical, it is rarely connected to blood pressure. But the body does not separate thoughts from physiology. It responds to both. In the next part, we will look at why starting the day stressed has such a strong effect on blood pressure after 60, even when stress feels mild and familiar. When the mind perceives stress, even mild stress, the body responds automatically. The nervous system activates. Stress hormones such as adrenaline are released. Heart rate increases. Blood vessels tighten. Blood pressure rises to prepare the body for action. In younger adults, this response is brief and flexible. Once the stress passes, the body settles quickly. Blood pressure returns to baseline without difficulty. After 60, this system becomes more sensitive. Blood vessels are less elastic. The nervous system stays activated longer. Blood pressure rises more easily and takes longer to come down. Now return to that rushed morning. You wake up and immediately engage with information that feels urgent or concerning. The nervous system activates before the body has fully transitioned from sleep. Blood pressure is already rising naturally in the morning, and stress adds another layer. The body receives multiple signals at once, telling it to prepare for action. Blood pressure rises faster and higher than it needs to. Because the stress feels familiar, you do not register it as a problem. Picture the calmer morning again. You wake up, you pause, you delay stimulation. The nervous system activates more gradually. Blood pressure rises more smoothly. The cardiovascular system is given time to adjust. The difference between these mornings is not motivation or productivity. It is timing. Stress introduced too early compounds the natural morning rise in blood pressure. Stress introduced later is often better tolerated. Repeated daily stress surges matter. Over time, they contribute to blood pressure variability, vessel stiffness, and increased cardiovascular strain. This happens even when stress feels mild and manageable. Many people are surprised to learn that emotional and mental habits can affect blood pressure as strongly as physical ones. The body does not distinguish between rushing and danger. It responds to both with the same physiological tools. The solution is not to eliminate responsibility or avoid information. It is to protect the first part of the morning. Delaying stimulation by even 10 or 15 minutes can significantly reduce pressure surges. Simple changes help. Sitting quietly after waking, avoiding the phone immediately, breathing slowly before standing, allowing the body to wake up before the mind accelerates. People who make these changes often notice subtle improvements. Less tension, fewer morning headaches, more stable blood pressure readings later in the day. These changes are not dramatic, but they are consistent. Starting the day calmly is not a luxury after 60. It is a protective habit. It creates a smoother transition, reduces strain on the heart and blood vessels, and sets a steadier tone for the rest of the day. By now, you may be noticing a pattern. None of the habits we talked about are dramatic. None of them feel dangerous. In fact, most of them feel normal, familiar, comfortable. They are the kinds of things people do without thinking, because they have done them for years. That is exactly why they matter. After 60, blood pressure is influenced less by single events and more by repeated patterns. Small actions, done every morning, quietly shape how the cardiovascular system behaves over time. The body remembers what happens again and again, even when the mind forgets. Think about the mornings we described. Getting out of bed too quickly, reaching for coffee right away, skipping water, checking blood pressure at unstable moments, starting the day already rushed. None of these habits cause immediate harm. The day still goes on. Later readings often look fine. Life feels normal. But inside the body, the story is different. Morning is the most sensitive time of day for blood pressure after 60. Hormones are rising. The nervous system is activating. Blood vessels are adjusting. When extra stress is added during this window, pressure rises faster and settles more slowly. When this happens once, the body recovers. When it happens every day, strain accumulates. The important thing to understand is that you do not need to fix everything at once. This is not about creating a perfect morning routine. It is about awareness and timing. Even one small change can reduce strain significantly. For some people, the biggest change is simply slowing down when getting out of bed. For others, it is delaying coffee. For others, it is drinking a glass of water first. You do not need to do all of these at once. Choose one. Let it become natural. Then consider another. Calm mornings do not mean unproductive mornings. They mean smoother transitions. When the body wakes up gradually, blood pressure behaves more predictably. When blood pressure is more stable, the heart and blood vessels experience less stress throughout the day. Many people are surprised by how these small adjustments affect how they feel. Mornings feel steadier. Dizziness decreases. Anxiety softens. Blood pressure readings later in the day feel more consistent. These changes are subtle, but they are meaningful. It is also important to remember that aging is not a failure. Needing a gentler start to the day does not mean something is wrong. It means the body has changed, and wisdom means adapting to that change rather than fighting it. If you have been worried because your blood pressure numbers look normal but you still do not feel quite right, this perspective may help. Risk does not always announce itself with high numbers. Sometimes it shows up quietly, in timing and patterns. The goal is not fear. The goal is understanding. Understanding allows calmer choices. Calmer choices protect long-term health. If this video helped you see your mornings differently, take that awareness with you tomorrow. You do not need to remember every detail. Just remember this. How you start the day matters more than you think after 60. This channel exists to provide calm, clear guidance about aging, blood pressure, heart health, and daily habits that quietly make a difference. There is no urgency here. There is only consistency. If you found this video helpful, consider subscribing. New videos are released regularly, focusing on senior health, blood pressure patterns, and simple habits that support a healthier, more independent life after 60. In the next video, we will explore another topic many people find confusing: why blood pressure medications can feel different in the morning, and how timing affects how they work. Thank you for spending this time focusing on your health. Paying attention today is one of the most effective ways to protect the years ahead.